Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
All right, folks, it's voting time now. As you can see, boy, we're gearing up here. We're going to have all kinds of folks here on the table. We're going to be educating you about who you want to hire this next time around. I mean, hire meaning that you've got to vote them in one way or the other. So the bottom line is that you got to get out there and vote. And there are efforts, there are all sorts of efforts in talking about the whole issue of voting. Who should be allowed to vote and who shouldn't. We've got some other major issues, if you will, on the whole issue of immigration. We got this voter, motor voter kind of a thing going on right now. So my point is that there's all kinds of things out there, but the bottom line, at the end of the day, when it's time to vote, we want to make sure that we got citizens of this country that are the ones who are eligible, if you will, to vote. Well, guess what we're going to do? There's a petition out in the air right now, and that's what my guest is going to be talking about at this point in time. Proof of qualifications of the electors. Are you qualified to vote? Fair?
Right.
Okay, and I got Janice here. Janice Dissinger. She's one of the petitioners, right?
No, I'm working with the petitioners.
You're working with the petitioners, right? And then that's in fact, if you don't mind, Janice, why don't you mention who the petitioners are, and then define what we're talking about here for
us. Mike Neerman, who's a state representative from Polk County, and James Bucall, who's a local attorney, are the chief petitioners for this initiative. And this initiative just requires proof for what the Constitution already requires of the electors. So our Oregon Constitution says you must be a citizen of the United States, and you must be at least 18 years of age, and United States citizens, and a resident of the state.
Okay.
So those are the three requirements. So we're just asking that people prove that they're a citizen of the United States in order to register to vote.
Aren't they doing that already?
They're not. There are 14,000 people that are in Oregon that have registered to vote that have given zero evidence of anything. And we found through an investigation that a dog and a cat were both registered to vote. So that doesn't leave us very well.
I mean, all this time we've been voting. I mean, Mickey Mouse been running.
That's how you get cartoon characters registered to vote. And we just like to know that all of our votes count equally. And so we want some evidence that the people that voting are eligible to vote here.
But why so long? I mean, they should have cleaned this up a long time ago.
Well, I've been working a long time with the legislature, and Kim Thatcher every year proposes.
And Kim, she's a representative too.
Right, and she proposes every year a bill that would ask people to give some kind of ID that they are registered legally. So.
What's the problem?
It's not going to happen in the legislature. The legislature is not kind towards this, and the Secretary of State didn't push it. So I think the only way we're going to get anything in action is to do it as an initiative.
Wait a minute. Let's go back a moment. You said Secretary of State. I'm very familiar with a Secretary of State that's now governor of this state, Kate Brown. And she was Secretary of State.
Right.
What's the problem there?
Well, I investigating over the years, I found just recently, I have a letter here from Sal Esquivel to the Elections Department, and he got a response back from Jim Williams, who's the Elections Director, and he gave a step-by-step procedure of how the Secretary of State checks with DMV on if a person is eligible to vote. So they're saying they're inquiring of the Secretary of State's office is inquiring of the elections office, but all they're getting back is that the person has a driver's license. Well, if you're here legally from another country, you can get a driver's license while you're here for the length of your visa. But all their check was showing is that the person had a driver's license, and so somebody could go and fill out a paper ballot, a paper registration that they are, and say they're a citizen. Didn't have to give any proof. They could put down the Oregon driver's license, and we know people from other countries get social security numbers. They can put that down. It'll go in, and when the Secretary of State's office or the county clerk checks with DMV, it'll come back as a valid driver's license. And so there's no check to stop that. voter from voting. So they'll get a ballot just like you will and just like I will, and they'll be able to vote in our elections. And I just don't think that's right. And we also found out when people register from overseas that the HAVA laws, the Help America Vote Act, that excludes that voter that registering from overseas from any of the checks from the HAVA. So they don't have to offer any proof of citizenship either. So when they go in and they fill out their form online for the federal postcard application, when it comes to the part where you put in your driver's license and your social security number, it asks for them and it says that you must have them. But if you go look at the instructions for that document, it says if you don't have those documents, just skip it and we'll assign a number for you. So there's actually, you can register from anywhere in the world in Oregon's elections and offer zero proof and you'll get a ballot from now on.
Does that exist in other states?
It does exist in other states. There are some states like Kansas and Arizona, I think Alabama, there's a few others now that have said they want to have some proof of U.S. citizenship, and that's gone before the courts, and we're still in the process. It's in one court will kick it down, another court will uphold it. So those particular states are saying we want proof of citizenship. And so if somebody uses the federal postcard application, they have to know in the instructions they have to send in proof of citizenship. So that's still being debated, and I believe the Supreme Court will eventually uphold the view that you need to be a citizen in order to register to vote, because they've always given that's part of the Constitution that is delegated to the state on how they work that out.
Sounds good. That sounds good. Well, I wish you all luck in the world, because in all due respect, this is an issue.